This episode is brought to you by OptiNizers, a virtual assistant agency with a highly skilled team of VAs from the Philippines that's been helping me delegate, save time, and focus on the big picture. As a business owner and podcaster, if you're anything like me, trying to do everything yourself, it's time to delegate and do what you do best. If you need support with admin, operations, or back-end work today, click the link in the show notes to book a free call with OptiNizers and use my referral code Crystal. Thanks, OptiNizers. Here we go. Welcome to the Filipina on the Rise podcast, everyone. I am your host, Crystal Fabella, and I'm so excited for this special episode. We're going to be talking about some really practical, applicable things around delegating, hiring smart, and scaling from a scrappy founder mindset. But I just want you to know, whether you are a business owner, a freelancer, a professional thinking about building something in the future, or maybe later stage in business and your path, this is for everybody. I want this to be something that you can take and apply in your life, in your business, in your profession, wherever you are. This is really about, that founder mindset that I believe everybody here has, that entrepreneurial knack, that I wish I knew a lot of these best practices and tricks of the trade in the beginning of my journey. So we are going to be talking with our two friends, Andy and Trisha here. And I just know, as a scrappy founder and building everything from the ground up, doing it all yourself is something that we do for a long time. So why not just learn how to take things to the next level by implementing things like delegating and support and systems. And it's all going to be right here. So I'm excited for this conversation today. We are joined by Andy Cheng. He is the founder of OptiNizers, which is the team that has been supporting the growth of this podcast. So shout out to this wonderful team. And Andy is someone who has built multiple businesses and now helps founders scale by building strong, effective teams, including incredible talent from the Philippines. This conversation is relevant to builders, business owners, or anyone who is aspiring to become one. And at some point, the question becomes, how do I stop building everything myself and building something greater for me and focusing on where I really love and where my genius is? So this is where it's at. So we are so excited to have you, Andy and Trisha. Welcome to the podcast. How are you guys doing today?
Hi, Crystal. Hi. So,
why don't you give us an intro on Trisha? Why don't you give us an intro on you and Trisha?
All right. So, my name's Andy, and then Trisha just joined our team 6 months ago. She used to work for one of my close friends. Me and my friend Scott, we both are part of the big organization called Entrepreneur Organization. And long story short, she was part of another agency. We kind of feel like she was really mistreated. And then my friend really want her to be treated right. And we somehow make a good arrangement where we provide another person for my friend. And then we had Trisha to work for us. And it was the best choice. And then we're so happy for her. She's now our head of recruitment and actually our go-to person for almost everything. Yeah. And Trisha, tell her about your background.
First of all, Crystal, thank you for having us here. We're very excited for this podcast. So just a little bit of background about myself. I started in the BPO industry, like most of the Filipinos that are into the virtual assistant industry. So then I started as an executive assistant, hired as an EA. But then when I started working with Scott, Andy's friend, I was conformed into an operational position. And so I became his right-hand person. And then it was just us two that time. And 3 years after when I left, I think there are 20 employees now, and they built the systems. I was there when we hired a lot of people, built their systems, operational processes. I've seen the company grow. And currently, I'm working with Andy right now, and I'm very happy with my role.
Yeah.
Amazing. And Andy, you didn't pay her to say that. I'm kidding.
I did not pay her to say that.
Oh, no,
she already got her pay. She already got her last month's pay, so no.
And everyone, just so you know, I met Andy at a conference, a one-day summit.
ACE
was on
Next Gen.
The ACE Next Gen, yes. And he was speaking on a panel, so was I. I honestly went up to you and I said, hey, we actually get a lot of people in our inbox sometimes who say, like, do you guys hire VA? They thought that Filipina on the Rise was like agency. So I'm like, I have to do something about this. So Andy and I, we talked and we're like, let's see if we can, combine forces together and market. And it just seems like that's really what you're good at, Andy, of combining forces, right? And seeing where people are exchanging that value. Would you say that is kind of one of your superpowers?
I mean, connect the dots. But then I think that's like earlier. I think that will be my superpower, connecting the dots. But now we want to do more than connecting the dot. We want to empower the dot. We want the dot to more than just be connected.
Okay.
We want the dot to be more than just a dot. I think most of the agency, they would, at least how we started, we thought we're just connecting the dot, right? Connecting one to another, but then that's not long lasting. And then that doesn't provide any value to it.
Yeah.
Now we want both of the dots, just say client and the VA. Well, we call them remote talent. We want to empower both of them. We want to train. We want both of them to really have a good experience.
Yeah.
And it's long, I wouldn't say long lasting, and it lasts as long as possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So many questions there. I want you to define what the dot is and how you envision the empowered dot looks like. Other than a big circle. So the question I like to ask everybody in the beginning is two things. One, and you're going to answer this and then go into your story after. One, if you're listening to this and you're going through blank, you're going to want to stay till the end because we're going to talk about blank. How would you fill that out?
If you ask me, right? If you're going through, like I'll give you my best example. If you feel like you're going in a circle, if you're running a circle, you feel like you're repeating, it's like losing weight. Every year, January 1st, you try to make a New Year resolution. You try to lose weight, but somehow December 31st, not only you didn't lose weight, you get more weight, right? You got to do something more. You got to do something different. If you feel like your business is stuck at whatever revenue, if you feel like every day you are working 18 hours a day, but somehow your business is exactly the same where it was the year before or 5 years before. And then the only reason why your revenues grow is not because your revenue, because due to sales growth, because due to inflation, you got to do something different.
Wow.
Like, either you shouldn't be doing a business, you should be working for someone else, or you should pause. Not necessarily you had to hire a VA, but you gotta do something different. I actually believe one thing: you only live once. So because life just goes this fast, I wish I realized this thing when I was in the 20 or the 30. Because boy, I'm 45, but if I realized that, I would have a much more fruitful life in the 20 or 30. I'll tell you this. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I feel very called out. I'm just kidding. No, that was a good statement. That was so powerful. And I've talked to so many people in our community who I can sense are just at that point where you want to wake up a little bit to, is this working? And does it mean you drop it and you start something new, or you figure it out? Like, there's just so many, no one really gives you the playbook, right? To this game. But there is a point where you have to start really, like you said, you've been doing the walks and making the resolutions and trying again year by year. It's time to kind of look at things and do things differently. So before we get into the story of how OptiNizers started, what kind of people do you serve and what problems are you solving for them, helping solve for them?
I mean, I would say 90 to 95% of our clients are business owner, not necessarily our contact are business owner, but then we're serving for small business. The problem we're solving really varies. We start with the executive assistant. This is where Trisha used to be. At least it can't really solve company's core issue before we can solve. You had to start solving your personal issue. You had to relieve yourself to do those tedious personal work. Then you can start working on something else. So we try to resolve the personal thing first. And then you start thinking about sales, bookkeeping. That's what we all provide, or customer service. Unfortunately, I think that the customer service thing will probably be disappeared in about a year or two by AI. We tell the client the same thing. Then you want a more advanced, maybe operation. That's more advanced from the Filipino side. Yeah, that's the kind of type of the service we provide, and video editing too. That's more advanced. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
do you find yourself more in like a niche industry, whether it's like online businesses or people who have e-commerce, or is it kind of just spread across?
Spread over. However, it's like also very seasonal. Right now, we have a lot of accounting firm chasing us for a bookkeeper. And then I'll tell you this, after April 15th, we're going to have a lot of company chasing us who want to have in-house bookkeeper. Right now, we have a lot of accounting firm chasing us for want to have bookkeeper to help them because they need people, manpower to help them to file tax. But after that, we have a lot of client who want a small business who want to have in-house bookkeeper to clean their book because they have a lot of regrets not doing this so earlier. So it's always like that. And then EA is always year long. EA is always executive assistant is always year long. Video editing, year long. It's it's not so seasonal.
That's like evergreen for you guys. Yeah. Okay. So I know that you worked then with a range of types of clients and businesses. And I guess this question could be for the both of you, but you mentioned the first thing that people need to work on is the personal problem, not the professional, the business. There's a personal, there's an internal, there's something within that needs to be like unlocked first. What are some common inner work or problems that you see founders or business owners that you've worked with that they need to kind of...
Oh, Trisha.
Yeah, for sure. For that one, Crystal, there are when we do discovery calls, there are two types of clients. One that exactly knows what they need. And the second one is that it's their first time hiring a remote talent and they don't know what they're looking for. So what we always tell our clients is to start slow. So when we say to focus on the personal side first, this is for the clients that really don't know what they're looking for, but they know that they need help. So this is an example would be organization. So they lack time to do personal things or they lack time to do operational tasks that they know is important. Either they don't have time to do it or either they don't like doing it. So this is where we tell them that they might need an executive assistant, an admin assistant. Some business owners, especially those startups, they really can't go into and dive into a whole team. So what's best about starting with an executive assistant or an admin assistant is that they have a right-hand person. They're not starting too big. They're starting slow and starting with one person. And with this one person, they can start to build processes, figure out what they need to do first before they scale up and have a whole team. And I've learned this from experience specifically because this is also how I started with my previous executive. So before they became a 20-man team, it was just me and him handling operations, talking to investors, creating sales pitch deck, which I'm also doing with Andy right now. We're talking to a lot of vendors. We did this with just the two of us. And then months later, we decided, we need an operations director, an operations manager. We need someone that can do accounting. And so this right-hand person can help them find these people. And since they already know what they need and they started this small structure from within, then it's easier for them to build from there. The second type of clients we have are those that are really, let's say, they know what they need. The law firms or the accounting firms that we work with, that they really know that they need this type of bookkeeper, accounting person, or paralegal. So that's like the distinction between two types of clients that we support.
Okay. Do you find that before even asking for help, there's another question that people might need to answer for themselves first? Okay, I'll give an example because sometimes I'm like, I just need help. And it's okay, sure, that's very objectively clear that there is support needed. But I found that where I thought I needed support in were XYZ areas where in reality, I realize I need to get more clear. I need to be looking in this direction versus that one. And I'm putting all my effort and eggs in this basket and not the other one. So I'm curious if that is an experience that some founders or business owners might have.
Yeah. It's a common thing we encounter during discovery calls. They need a lot of things, and how our discovery calls go is we ask them what they need, any pain points, anything that they want to delegate, and it's usually scattered all around. They might need help with some marketing, some accounting, some admin task. And so what we usually ask them to do is ask what weighs more currently. So what is your top priority? What can be done later, and what can we do to help you now? So with that question, it actually helps them internalize and see, well, actually, I need more help with admin first before I go to marketing. They usually start thinking like that. And so that's where we usually start before we move forward to the more complicated things.
Nice.
Yeah. And then one other thing I think makes us a bit special is we often have some client who really has good budget. They would say, Andy, Trisha, I want to hire 5 people. They would like, have you ever had a VA before in your life? Like, no, we actually denied them. Said, they would be like, why? I'm giving you money. I was like, no. First, I'm for sure you're going to fail. You're going to fire all 5 of them in 3 months. You can't even deal with one. Forget about 5. Because they're not, like, it's not like hiring the 5 American where you know the culture because you're one of them. You had to understand this is different. Even though you can say, oh, I'm also Asian, I'm Filipino American. That's completely different culture. Like I even sometimes would joke with Trisha, it's like, trust me, even Filipinos sometimes don't even know Filipino. Like even within the same country, don't even know each other. The culture is so different. Like you can't even know, if you don't even know with one, forget about 2 or 5. So we're like one of the few company would turn business away. Like you need to know how to work with one. Yeah.
I think that I know the cost of a bad hire, right? That companies deal with, but also what is the cost of bringing on too many people too soon for a business owner that doesn't know how to manage it? Like that is, that's in itself is its own world. And Andy, I would like to learn, how was OptiNizers started? I've encountered a lot of different agencies, especially ones that are tapping into the professional workforce in the Philippines. But what is your guys' story and what makes you guys different? And why did you choose to approach it this way?
Oh, well, Trisha probably heard this a million times already. I have another business. I'm a serial entrepreneur. So during pandemic, my shipping business was really doing so well. And I was overwhelmed. So my business coach told me about this virtual assistant thing, which I never heard about. So she introduced me a big virtual assistant company. I hired 3 when I don't even know how to work with one.
Oh, so you were that
3
person.
at one. I was that person, right? Never worked with one before. First, they never really onboard me. They didn't give me the proper orientation. They didn't even teach me how to work with anyone. And I was paying a lot of money per person. Then one of them that she just keep falling asleep during the shift. Like every day, I had to wake her up. Like I had to nudge her, like what's going on. But I like her. So one day I just say, look, if you keep doing this, I'm going to let you go. And then she just apologized to me, said, sorry, I have a daytime job in the Philippines. I was like, what are you talking about? That means you work 16 hours straight every single day. That's humanly impossible, because I also know you won't sleep right after 16 hours, right? You're probably going to do things. So you're telling me you only sleep 3-4 hours a day. I know you're young, but you can't. Then she told me she was getting paid $8. And I believe I was paying the company $3,300. So that's a very wrong proportion.
Whoa.
How do you see it?
Yeah.
You're talking about, I mean, I'm a business owner. I know we should make good margin, but I was like, damn, that's a good margin. That's like, you're right. Straight out robbery, right? So I was pissed. And then I called, by then it was just my friend from EO, from entrepreneur organization in the Philippines. I was like shouting at him. I was just like, man, why do you guys, because that company is a Filipino company, why do Filipino always try to screw your own people? And he was just so quiet. He was so quiet. He said, Andy, I know this is very common in this industry. Do you want to do something about it? I was like, what do you mean? Let's open a virtual assistant company. I'm like, first I was like, no F way. I'm not going to open another company. No, are you kidding me? I just told you I hate virtual assistant. I hate this. And next thing I know, we start one. And then he made me promise. He did make me promise, okay, first, we're not going to overly charge. We're not going to overcharge small business because I'm one of them. I'm pretty sure people who listen to this probably small business. And then we will pay every VA the way they want to get paid.
Mm-hmm.
We'll reason to them. We'll give them as like, if the market rate is about 1,200 and this person is asking for 1,800, Trisha will explain to them what is the real market rate. But if they insist it's going to be 1,800, we will mark it out the way we want to, but we'll tell them you may not get a job because the client is going to feel that you're too pricey. But we will not try to negotiate too much. We may be $100 sometimes, but that's about it. We don't want, I think the ultimate goal is we don't want our people to be going paycheck by paycheck because it's not fair.
And to be exploited. Yeah.
Why? I mean, to me, it doesn't make any sense. So my logic is, so you're telling me the person who works for you, the client who has to make basically their life is upside down, right? They have to night shift and their life is basically paycheck by paycheck. While the American owner, the client save tons of money, no legal lawsuit, no legal obligation.
They get all the advantages of it.
And taking all the benefit. And then you're telling me, and you also get to fire them almost any time you want. That's a shitty deal for the VA. So we want to make the balance a bit closer than other business.
Yeah. No, thank you for explaining that. And that can go in its whole other conversation around, business ethics and when working with teams like this. And I really admire and respect that, Andy and the team, for prioritizing taking care of your people when, out there, most people are just going for what's easier. Do you see the long-term returns on this type of approach?
Yeah. It takes longer time because those company, most of the company that when they having 2x kind of return, it like the one Trisha used to work for, the return goes so fast, right? Because they're making a big return. Our return goes slower, but then if it can last longer, it's almost like real estate. Sometimes it doesn't see it that way, but then the longer they can stay. So our business goes really longevity.
Love it. I love it.
But it sometimes doesn't work out because honestly, I always tell the client, look, if you fire us under 3 months, we lose money. You'll be surprised. We actually do not make money. We lose money. After the 4 months, we break even. Even though on the paper, we make management fee, that's called money, that's called net profit, and that's called gross profit. But then if you factor in our internal costs and our sourcing costs, we don't break even until 4 months. So it's an investment.
I'm all for the people who prioritize longevity over quick returns. I think that we're in a world that is starved for that. Yeah. Everyone wants the instant gratification, right? Trisha, you're nodding your head. Why are you nodding?
It's very common, and not just in business, but all other aspects as well. So yeah, definitely a good point.
Yeah. Yeah. So when it comes to, founders like us who are used to doing everything in the beginning, and you reach the point where you need support, even, if you feel like you're not ready, like, how do you know that you've reached that point where it actually makes sense to just like look for support and considering hiring? Because of course, at any point, it's like, oh yeah, I want to build my team. I want people to come on board, but there is a practicality to it, right? There is like a point where it makes sense and maybe a point where like it doesn't make sense yet. So yeah.
There's a formula to it. It's called effective hourly rate. The way it goes is if you calculate your overall income. When you have overall income, including your investment, everything, altogether, divided by 2,100. That's average working hour for American business owner. $2,100. Okay. So that, for instance, mine could be my effective hourly rate could be $100. Just say. That means I'm making $100 an hour. So if you do that calculation and whatever you're doing right now, divided by 3. So I'm very generous. So for instance, if you're keying some stupid data, if that thing you feel like is worth $33, then do it. If you don't, you think it's not, then hire someone else.
Ooh, that's a good one.
So you have to know. So you first, to begin with, even before you have the budget or not, is how much do you worth? Like Crystal, if you don't know how much you're worth, how do you know you can work? Like, how can you work? How do you know you should hire someone else? So how much you're worth, how much your employee, how your right person worth first, before you even think about hiring someone else. And then some books will tell you divided by 2. I'm very generous, say no, divided by 3. Because small business owner probably can't. Yeah, the bigger company divided by 2, smaller company divided by 3. That's my formula.
Wow. So does that mean tracking your hours put in and really seeing where your time is going, right?
Yeah. So again, so $2,100 hours is the average working hour.
Okay.
Just say. Scary.
So I know that's like, oh, do we want to see that number? And
you don't want to know. Because think about it, the more hour you're working, you're cheap. You're making yourself really cheap. So I was going to say, like being Asian, the word working hard, it's like a curse to all of us. It's like a curse. I hate the word being a hustler. I mean, hustle is fine, but then working hard is like, oh my God, work hard. I'd rather teach my kids work smart. Because, I mean, have you ever wondered why there's people like having coffee at 3 p.m. and then, party all the time somehow makes more money than any of us? Think about it. Why? Wonder why. They don't come from money all the time. So you have to think why instead of judging them. I mean, do judge them in the sense like why? Do question. So that's my point.
So we get this a lot in which a lot of, let's say, business owners, right, are at that point and they know the smart thing to do is to delegate. And yet there's not enough immediate, let's say, financial resources or capital or cash flow to delegate to a full-time team that looks like this ideal that they see that company over there doing. If someone really does have a small budget and they know that it's time to delegate, what's the smartest way to hire? Is their first role or first task? How do they approach that problem?
I'd like Trisha to help to answer that.
Let's take a quick break to talk about the partners helping us make this podcast happen, OptiNizers, a talent agency that connects businesses with highly skilled Filipino remote professionals who help entrepreneurs delegate smarter, reclaim time, and keep focus on what truly drives growth. I'm personally working with them. I've been so impressed with who I'm working with, so I can attest to them. As an entrepreneur, podcaster, and multi-business owner, if you're anything like me, you've probably tried to do everything yourself until you realize real progress doesn't come from doing more. It comes from building the right partnerships. OptiNizers matches you with remote talent who are carefully vetted, continuously trained, and aligned with your goals, so you get proactive contributors who elevate your business operations and help you scale with confidence. If you're like, I want this, I'm going to put you on a complimentary call. Whether you're launching a new project or need support to keep your momentum, click the link in the show notes to book a free call with OptiNizers and use my referral code Crystal to get started. Thanks, OptiNizers. Okay, back to the episode.
Yeah, it's a good question. And it really got me thinking because we do have clients that are also a bit conservative about their budget. What we usually suggest is we ask what are the things that are really hindering them from being productive, because in order to generate income, they have to spend their time more on what's growing the business rather than the back end stuff that's making them feel stuck. So that's one of the things we ask. And then the next step would be for us to check how much of these tasks will it take, or how much hours would it take for these tasks to be done. So we don't really suggest our clients to do full 8 hours per day if the amount of workload is not really full 8 hours per day. So if we ask them questions and then we assess, okay, this is actually more of like a part-time role, 4 hours a day maximum maybe. And so we usually start there, starting slow, and by starting with 4 hours, that reduces their costs more efficiently. There's that. And then also pinpointing the specific tasks they want to delegate, because they can hire someone for 4 hours, but if they don't know the specific tasks and responsibilities to delegate, the talent would just end up with random tasks and still not be productive. So that's more of the first few things we like for our clients to know.
That's good. Yeah. Pinpointing and really defining what those tasks are versus a role, right?
Yes. Because we work backwards.
It's like,
Yeah, we work backwards. We ask the specific pain points and tasks that they want to delegate, and then we identify which specific role can do that. There's not one size fits all. So if they want someone that can do admin with a little bit of social media, then we find a person that has a background for that one specifically. So we don't really pinpoint like, oh yeah, you need an EA. And then most of the time, they don't even know what an EA does, an executive assistant does. So then we work backwards, start with the tasks, and then we tell them about the specific role that can do it. And then we tell them more about what other tasks this role can help them with. And so it widens their perspective.
Nice. Thanks. That kind of answered my question, where I want to know, like, what are the biggest mistakes that you see founders or business owners make when they're hiring EAs or VAs, and how can we avoid them? Do you want to add on to that?
I'll start because I use me as example. We think remote talent with EA are like a cure or solution. Like, oh, they hired this person and then somehow they will just fix everything. And then somehow they can read my mind. And then somehow I can treat them much differently than I would treat my American employee. And then I see that every day, all the time. And somehow my American employee get to have 5 strikes before I had to let them go. But somehow VA get 1 strike out. Yeah. Because they don't get sued for that, but somehow, so we see that all the time. But I think
do you call them out on it? Do you kind of like,
Yeah, we do. So every client, I'm proud to say that's an earlier stage of our time. I would say all of our clients right now are not like this anymore. But then in the earlier stage, a lot of them, including me, I would say this, including me. I'll be very honest. I was that person until I get called out. Until somebody called me out. You are the asshole.
Was
you
it
are
Trisha?
the bottleneck. No, that's Trisha got lucky.
No.
Trisha didn't see the Andy 1.1, 1.0 or 2.0. I think that's the true about that. They think is that the VA is supposed to be able to read people's mind, and then they think that yes, VA is supposed to understand American culture. That's without a doubt. But you understand it's two-way.
Yeah.
Because
for sure.
They, as much as they are receiving your money indirectly, they are providing help for you. They need you as much as you need them. So I'll give you one example. I had to let my previous EA go. I thought I could survive without EA for a long time. That was a very miserable 2 weeks for me without EA. I was grumpy. Trisha was there. I was grumpy. I was so messy. My calendar was messy. So I just realized that, I need somebody more than somebody needs me. Because a good one, I'll tell you this, in the job market, I will tell you this, a good talent, they will never have problem finding a good client. That's like a permanent, whether the economy is good or bad, you will never have problem finding client. So, I think that's the misunderstanding of clients sometimes is they always think I am the client, I'm the king, I'm the queen. I pay you, you listen. Another thing is I think a common mistake is we silent our VA. And because of Filipino culture, I always tell people, do you understand Filipino are one of the loudest culture? If you actually go to Philippines, they like to sing. They sing so much to the point kind of annoyed by that. They sing so much. They sing in the shower. They probably sing it when they sing everywhere. They talk. They're so happy culture. But then somehow, do you ever question yourself, why are they so quiet in the Zoom meeting? Why are they so quiet when they talk to you? That's not really who they are. And maybe that's because the way as client, American culture behave is we somehow silence our VA. We're so tough. We're so bossy to a point that the VA just, okay, you have so much to say. I'm just going to go quiet because I want to keep my job. Remember, I'm paycheck by paycheck. You're going to terminate me anytime you want. I need to survive. I'm just going to keep my mouth shut, even though I know it's the dumbest idea you just say.
Wow.
I'm just going to keep my mouth shut. Trisha, am I right?
Yes. And to add to that, Crystal, another common mistake actually with clients is that they're unprepared when they onboard a talent. So they're not prepared to delegate and they're kind of scared to share some responsibilities to the talent they hire. And this is okay for some cases, but for most cases, we've noticed the talent is as good as much as you trust them. So if you trust them to handle a lot of the responsibilities that can be delegated, they can actually grow and learn more and not just be boxed into a specific task and role. So most common things here is, for example, executive assistant. They can be an executive assistant for 4 years, but just know a certain amount of task because their previous executive did not trust them enough to handle more complex responsibilities. So applying to what my personal experience was, my previous executive, Andy's friend, he trusted me a lot about the ins and outs of the business, that I became his rock in the business, that whatever he needs, he just goes to me and I already know what it is. So if you're willing to delegate, the talent is more than willing to learn and adapt. So they're actually more excited to learn.
And think. Yeah.
Wow.
Crystal, another thing I want to really challenge everyone who's listening right now, make yourself the dumbest person in your company. If you a business owner, you can somehow make yourself the dumbest person in your company, you might have a chance to make more money than ever. I think that is hard because business owner, you always try to prove yourself. Prove it to yourself in front of your client, but you don't need to prove yourself in front of your employee because no matter what, you know what's your best leverage? Not your brain, is your money. You're paying them anyway. So no matter what, you can be the dumbest person as long as you're paying them. They don't care, but let them be the smarter one.
Yeah.
Because they need to make them think. Because, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. You remind me of certain, let's say, like CEOs that we uphold and look up to. And you read their books and how they do things, they just surround themselves with a lot of smarter people and have them all their like decisions kind of being made for them. But it just reminds me a bit of that. But I wanted to respond to a couple of things that you touched on there. One, I appreciate that there is this element of advocating for these professionals, for these VAs and EAs in a world where, like, because you can hire somebody from across the world and you still have to treat them with a level of professionalism and respect, and everything that we would do here in the West, like implement those practices and those business ethics and like with whoever you're working with. And so I hope that this is an invitation for anyone to even reflect on, like, how am I treating other people from another culture or country or in like class and stuff, because that, like you said, you were humble enough to recognize that within yourself. And I certainly have recognized those experiences for myself too. And so I really appreciate that. Second, with being prepared to bring on, whether that's an assistant or an EA or another person on the team, there is such a illusion, right? To, I hired somebody, you're getting paid, you figure it out, you're going to make all the mess go away and our dreams come true, and you better figure it out. And I think it's lazy. I find that a lot of founders aren't willing to do the work to set up processes or systems. And so I learned by, trial by error and stuff in the past, but even with the professional that we work with from your team, I had to put in a lot of work to make sure my processes were on point. And I put in a lot of work into these documents because I knew that my success was only as good as my processes and being able to hand that
Correct.
off and walk through it with the person coming on board. And that's my part, so like we need to play our part. And so I don't know if you have a response.
Yeah.
And then I'll give you another one. Being patient, right? I have another one recently. I think that really works. Everyone use ChatGPT or any kind of AI or ChatGPT cloud. How many mistakes ChatGPT, how many shitty answers ChatGPT gave us when it first came out, even now.
Oh my gosh.
Even now, right? And somehow we're still using it. Somehow we keep giving them prompt. Oh, you're wrong. And then keep apologizing. Somehow we're still using ChatGPT because we're teaching ChatGPT. How much are we paying them? $20, $25? And somehow we're still giving ChatGPT the answer. The chance.
So much power,
we never say
right?
we're not going to use ChatGPT, right?
Yeah.
And then somehow, we don't give the person a couple $1,000 that, like more than 2 chances, 3 chances. That doesn't make any sense. Why? Oh, that doesn't make any sense. So you're less patient to this, and then you're just so patient to something that only costs you $25. That makes no sense, right? So I'm not saying that you should give them 100 chances, right? As long as they give you a positive attitude and they're willing to change, then give them more chances. A lot of them just ignore. Another thing we see commonly, whether you're using us or any other agency who hire direct, is they don't communicate. And Trisha probably knows that too. They don't communicate. They basically don't talk to the VA more than twice a week. And then they don't talk to the agency. So when we ask for feedback, we don't know. And then no VA will tell us they're screwing out their work. No VA will be admitting to us that, hey, I'm not doing well with the client. Who would do that? So we have no way to really help them to get back on track. So when the client doesn't communicate with nobody, and then all of a sudden, I'm terminating this person. Well, I'm terminating you, Crystal. If I hire you direct, and you'll be like, what do you mean?
What happened? Yeah.
Well, you've been failing this and that, but you never told me. But funny thing, in American hiring, you cannot do that because California employment law have everything is documented, right? Everything has to be documented. So all of a sudden, why? Because it's not required anymore. You don't do that. You still got to do some way, but it's for the sake of better. It's not for legal wise. It's more like it's for better, for improvement, right? So I think there's a common mistake that client have. I don't have time. Well, you should going to spend way more time for hiring someone else or retrain them, and people don't realize that. The cost of onboarding another person is a lot more than training the same person. And people keep thinking, I keep thinking, it's okay, I'll hire another EA. But boy, it's a lot more. It costs a lot more.
Yeah. That's so true. And it's not just a magic, unicorn that comes in and saves the day. You kind of work with it. It's the collaboration, it's the communication, and all of that. And yeah. And
it's a relationship. It's a relationship.
It is a relationship, exactly. You don't just dump somebody and say, well, I'm just going to find the next person. You make it work if it's worth it. So yeah, I want to I know that we're kind of coming to the close of our conversation, but I want to come back to that beginning analogy that you used of somebody who has been trying the same thing. You're doing the reps, something is not working, you're burning through energy, resources, something like that. And it's just time to stop and really take a look and admit, there's something that's not working and it's okay. However, it's time to get really real, right? And look at the numbers, what's under the hood, what's not working out. What would you recommend that person stop and start to take a look at and start to ask themselves the right questions in order to move forward?
I think instead of me telling you, because I feel like everything me or Trisha says is almost like soliciting. Read one book first, Who, Not How, by Dan Sullivan and Ben Hardy.
Love Dr. Ben Hardy.
How. Dr. Ben Hardy is my good friend. All right, Who, Not How. And then you really want to grow your business, read X is easier than 2X. But then the sequence goes with read hunahao.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then you had the mindset, and then read 10X is easier than 2X.
Okay.
And then if you're really
And then
into
you
the
go
idea,
to Andy after.
well, then you go to Andy, and I love that. But then also read Science of Scaling Up. That's also from Dr. Ben Hardy. But I think go with Ben. I think that really would change your mindset, because
Oh.
I was a staff person. But then now I'm a person who was so involved with everything. Somehow people are asking me, how many Andys are there? I'm like, just one. But then somehow, because I delegate everything, almost everything else, so I almost don't need to do everything is delegate. Like, unless it's this interview, I have to be there. I mean, otherwise I almost let my team to do it. I haven't checked my social media account for 3 months because I don't have to. Because I trust my team can do a good job.
Yeah.
Right? So delegate. I think this delegation is so important. Thank you, Crystal.
Yeah. Thank you. Trisha, do you have any also final comments or words for that?
I think Andy mostly wrapped it up really good. One thing I wanted to add though is, since the last words from Andy is, delegate, we actually acknowledge that, and we're working on it in OptiNizers to teach and enable our client to delegate. So we do have courses for our clients to join, so they understand, because it can't communicate and work well with talents, maybe because they haven't been told, how we should do it. So with the art of delegation and with our trainer working with them, they'll be able to delegate more and communicate better with our talents. But yeah, I think that's mostly all of it.
Yeah.
I have one more thing, Crystal. Do you mind?
Please.
There's one thing that makes us very unique. I would say we're the only one in this industry. Because we also realize that most of the business owner have ADHD somewhat. Funny thing, I kind of feel like the ADHD business owner probably not paying attention to this podcast right now because they're not paying attention. So ironic, right? We also train we have a specialist, like a professional specialist from San Diego. She trained our OptiNizer, our remote talent, how to work with business owner who has ADHD. So we know how to work with them, including myself. Like, for instance, I'll give you one example. My EA knows I don't like reading too many words. So everything she tells me has to be about graphic. I'm like a 3-year-old by graphic. I read faster by graphic. So she get my attention.
Just me. Oh my goodness. I'm like,
so we're both 3-year-old. Congratulations. So you most likely you have it, right? So, but the thing is, that make a huge difference. That make me very efficient. So I think that's the industry. We're the first one in the industry that our virtual assistant are ADHD trained.
Okay.
And not certified, trained. Yeah. So I think that's one thing. If you say anything different than others, it's this.
Yeah.
One of the biggest difference.
One of the many things. I know that you all really put time to also train and level up everybody in your team, which I've been the beneficiary of that type of quality. So thank you for really caring about that. Before I go, if you could just share, anyone listening, and you feel like you're ready to just even dive in and discover and like look into, like, this is the right time for you to hire a delegate, or you're ready for that. You've done it in the past. You want the quality experience. You can book a call with Andy or someone on the team and do, I think, a quick discovery session. What are some questions that they can look forward to in that call?
Trisha.
So these are like the questions we ask our clients when they hop on. Usually, we always share about our background and our story and how we started, because they always want to know about that. But when it comes to the discovery part, we mostly ask about mainly their pain points, like what's weighing you down currently, what's making you unproductive. So if we usually use this phrase that if you have a magic wand and you can delegate 3 things to this person, what would that be? And that's the easiest way for them to think and internalize what help they need. And so we move forward from there. We ask additional questions like, how heavy the workload is, so we can figure out how many hours this person can work for, any non-negotiables, because each client has specifics with the person that they want to work with. So we ask about non-negotiables, so we can also check in our talent pool, make sure that we're really providing the exact fit that they're looking for.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you both so much for sharing the story, all of your insights. I know I found myself multiple times, Andy and Trisha, as you were talking, going like, I can relate, to this. And I think it's just so important that we get a refresher course on all of this and asking ourselves is, where we're at, where we want to keep going in the way that we're doing things. And are we ready to delegate and to build something with other people and to focus on when we're great at? I mean, you could be like Andy, who never has to look at his social media or do, I don't know, like the things that he doesn't want to do, I think that's the best.
Exactly.
I think that is like the to be on. But ultimately to be really like where your biggest impact is. And I think that is the best way to really spend life, right? Like where you're most purposeful and alive in what you're doing. And I think that is just really the goal of all of this. Why not empower people along the way and let them do what they're great at? I think it's such a fun journey to be like, wow, that person's so much better in that than I could ever be. So it's been really great, talking to you guys. And thank you for, the partnership and all the great things that we get to do together with OptiNizers. If you're ready to explore this, everyone, go ahead and book that call. The link is in the show notes. Let me know how, that moves forward. I'd love to hear all the ways that you are growing and getting to work smarter, not harder. And Andy, I just want to acknowledge that I really admire the level of integrity and the, advocating for this type of professional workforce. It's such a standout to me, and I'd love to see more of that in the world. So I hope that this serves a bigger purpose than just the topics that we have today, and just how we can, treat each other better and grow our businesses with longevity. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Crystal.
Of course.
Bye.
Bye.